Rapid City's only live afternoon drive sports talk show from 4 to 6 right here on Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hanging with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales. I see new models of stand-up and teardrop campers on your lot.
Yes, you do. We're proud to feature the new SGC Armor line of campers from Bontrager Outdoors. Bang for the buck, there's just nothing out there like these new super cool Armor campers and Bontrager teardrops.
And the suspension these campers have? Wow, so impressive.
All our campers come standard with the off-road package. Bontrager and Armor just ramped boondocking up another notch. And right now, you'll get the best price all year on these 2026 ultra-light, ultra-beefy, option-loaded campers and teardrops.
You gotta check out these new look campers, people. The new designs are fantastic, and so many options for their size.
And so many options for towing. No need for a diesel or a big truck. These only weigh around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, so they can be towed by almost any rig.
Check out these new 2026 Bontrager and SGC Armor campers, everyone. See AnytimeAnytime.com, and as always, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker, Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work, and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
We are Fox Sports!
And here's what you need to know.
Night off for the NBA Finals. It'll resume tomorrow night in San Antonio with Game 2. Game 3 will take place on Monday, and President Trump said today that he'll be in attendance for the game at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Now, the NBA is looking into the behavior of some of these Spurs fans that sat courtside last night during Game 1 and directed comments towards Knicks guard Jalen Brunson. The NBA also said they've given a lifetime ban to the fan and another person for their roles in an incident last night where a fan ran onto the court to try to get a selfie with Spurs center Victor Wembanyama. An arbitrator has ruled that Terry Rozier must forfeit his $26.6 million salary from the Miami Heat for his alleged role in an NBA point-shaving scheme. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup finalists tonight, Golden Knights and Hurricanes skate at 8 Eastern, Vegas up 1-0. Packers gave wide receiver Christian Watson a 4-year extension. Phillies beat the Padres 6-4. Orioles dropped the Red Sox 8-2. Yankees over the Guardians 2-1. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, we're out of the gate. We're ready to go on a Thursday. Welcome in the Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Radio. High Energy Thursday. Do we have it? Let's bring it. Let's get after it from high school to college to the pros. South Dakota Sports Talk across the board. Good guests tonight. Great stuff tonight. Welcome in. It is always a great day in South Dakota. We know that. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Glad you're here. Thanks for making the show possible. We are streaming on X right now. Follow us and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. So easy way to do it right there on your phone. You have the Twitter app. Bring us up at Nate Brown Show, and you've got us. Stream us there. Welcome in studio to the Twitter followers. YouTube channel is live right now. I know a lot of people go back and watch that as well. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. You've got us live. The Nate Brown Show. Live and archive shows on YouTube. Search The Nate Brown Show, and you've got us YouTube. Finally, Midwest Sports Plus. The new high school sports streaming app is great, and we're live on Midwest Sports Plus right now. Our radio affiliates, we love it. KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls, welcome in, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Thursday edition of the program. We better make it count because Rob Kagron's not here. Where are you, Rob? What's going on? This is a New York City day. The New York Knicks win Game 1. He could pop me right between the running lights. He could hit me, knock my lung loose today. I mean, he could drill me. No, Rob Kagron. He has responsibilities, okay? We were going back and forth last night. The Spurs go down. Rob Kagron's Knicks up 1-0. Are they going to be up 2-0 by tomorrow? No Rob Tegron, but plenty to discuss. We will talk Knicks Spurs with Keith Smith tonight, national NBA analyst, live. He's covering the finals for Spot Track. His show is Front Office Show. Keith Smith, really good NBA guy. Find him at Keith Smith NBA. He's on the Nate Brown Show tonight. So we'll get an unbiased view from Keith Smith. It would have been very biased with Rob Tegron. We'll wait later on that. Keith Smith coming up from Spot Track, NBA analyst. We will go to John Schemmel tonight, USD athletic director. He's on for the first time since hiring a new softball coach. We'll start there with the Shannon Pivovar hire and more. USD Coyote athletic director John Schemmel live tonight. Trey Wallace is in for the first time in a long time, national college sports reporter for Outkick. If you haven't followed Trey Wallace, does good work. He's on tonight from Outkick, talking college sports, and boy, do we got a lot to discuss. Trey Wallace is in tonight. And Zach Borg, sports broadcaster, play-by-play man, Midwest Sports Plus. Zach Borg, and an interesting story he just put out on Midwest Sports Plus, and we'll get to that with Zach Borg live from Sioux Falls. Coming up, you can get in 605-720-1067. That's our number, 605-720-1067. Join the show. We'll do our best to get you on and be a part of the conversation. The Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch. Stop by this week and this weekend. In locations in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, the Pizza Ranch, the best buffet in town. Take the family, they'll love it. Locally owned and operated in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Hit the Pizza Ranch and hit us on the text line as well, 605-720-1067. Same number, mark it down. Text the show. We'll read those texts tonight, courtesy of the Barron's Wilson text line. All right. So there's a couple of things that we want to discuss. A few things today. A few things over the next 2 hours. This college sports bill continues to be very interesting. The college sports bill, I mean, is very interesting. So let me go there. Okay, and then I'm going to get into the Sioux Falls sports story as well that I learned about today, courtesy of the great report from Zach Borg. How about Borg coming through today on this Sioux Falls sports story? So I'm going to get to that. But let's start with this big discussion. And yesterday I got a little fired up. If you're not following the news, the sports news, I'm just going to do the cliff notes really quick tonight. You're just getting in your car on your drive home. They're trying to get the federal government to do a law for college sports. And the main point is to have a NIL cap, an earning cap on teams/athletes, transfer rules, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. You can't have coaches hired mid-season, and then they want to be careful of the super leagues developing. You can't add members like to the Big Ten or SEC, for example. And then there's media rights. How should we even those out, for example, so the Big Ten and SEC don't control everything? So you can look at the bullet points on the Senate bill. If you want to look at this, just look it up. Ted Cruz, Maria Cantwell. You'll find it. It's all over the place. And I want to discuss where we're at in this situation. It's been 1 week. It's been 1 week. I was talking about this last Thursday. I remember this. I don't remember much these days, but I remember this. Last Thursday, I said, here it is, the Senate bill, which they've worked on, and they got bipartisan support. You know, Trump did the round table. He had all the college sports leaders there and lawmakers and stuff, and they talked about the issues and the problems. And then the Senate bill finally came through here in last Thursday. Now they've had a committee hearing on it yesterday. That's where Nick Saban was talking about it. And I got a little fired up yesterday because I felt like there was a couple of lawmakers that are trying to find ways to kill this thing because they don't have specific language about this and specific language about that. And I just thought that was maybe we got to put other stuff in this thing. And I think that's ways to like kill stuff. That's how like real bills get killed on Capitol Hill. They do all these amendments and they fund this and they fund that, and then they make people play games. Are you going to vote for this? Are you going to vote for this? It doesn't have the rule of about, men and women's sports. Are you going to vote for this? I thought they were just playing those games because the executive order has already decided that that's not going to happen in the NCAA competitions anymore. So I just thought there was some games being played yesterday. Now I'm gonna update you on what's really happening in the college sports bill. Are people on board with moving this forward? Some people think this is the only thing. This is the last thing to save college sports. And actually, President Trump today sent out a Truth Social, and he said this bill is the one. He said he thanks Ted Cruz, he thanks Maria Cantwell and Chris Coons and all of the people that supported this and put this work together. He said, let's get this across the finish line. So that's from the top today. But I've got a bad update for you. Imagine that. I have a bad update for you. So, this thing is going to be a snot knocker. This thing, I thought they already did the legwork, the groundwork, the tough work behind the scenes and the bipartisan negotiations and the stuff. I just thought people were kind of iffy on certain things and trying to throw new things in as amendments, as I said. And now I think we got problems. I think this college sports bill in the Senate, making its way through the Senate, has problems. And let me just tell you, it's on both sides. Imagine that. The Democrats don't like this. The Republicans don't like this. So let's get into it. Here's the latest. Steve Scalise, Republican. Ted Cruz, that's senator on the Republican side. Steve Scalise does not like this Senate bill. He said the SEC and the Big Ten have already come out against this. So here's Steve Scalise today, who you kind of need some of these top Republicans to stay on board with this. He said this today. Nobody can credibly say they're going to move a bill to address college athletics and have opposition from the two major college conferences. So that's the House leader, Steve Scalise. That's a House leader here. Steve Scalise said, nobody can credibly say they're going to move a bill through Congress to address college athletics and have opposition from the two major conferences. What's he talking about? The SEC and the Big Ten yesterday came out and said, well, we don't really like this the way it's put out there now. You know why? Because they don't want it to be even. They don't want the mid-major and the Mountain West conferences to say, hey, we get to get some TV rights. We get to have a say in maybe competing across this landscape because we get more money from TV revenue and then more money for NIL, and we can limit the big boys. The SEC and the Big Ten don't want that even playing field. I hate to break it to you. So Steve Scalise says he doesn't think this bill can even move forward right now because the SEC and Big Ten are against it. So there's the Republican side, and I'm fair and balanced here. How about the Democrat side? You'd think, hey, they got a senator who did this with Ted Cruz, Maria Cantwell. They teamed up on this. Chris Murphy, a senator, Democratic senator. Is he from Connecticut? Chris Murphy said, this bill is unfair. It doesn't fix it. It has two systems, one for limiting the players' earning potential and one that allows the coaches and the ADs to still make as much money as they can. And I mean, he gets into a bunch of stuff saying, this is unfair to the players. We can't limit their potential when the coaches can make how much money they want. But Chris, this is Senator Chris Murphy. I'm talking to you from South Dakota. If you can listen, if you care. Chris, the coaches are employees. They have contracts. Their potential is already limited by what the university's going to pay them. They get to decide that. And if you want to keep on the Democratic side of this, the Democrats would like the athletes to be employees for the most part. I'm not speaking for everybody, but as I followed this, they want the athletes to be employees. And they think, well, that'll solve it because they'll get to collectively bargain and they'll get better deal that way. Well, guess what? Then it's going to hurt the other sports. I've said this before. Be careful about the employee thing because you run it like a business and you have critical employees that bring in revenue, and then you have non-essential employees. Have you ever heard of that term? Non-essential employees. And that would be like the golfers and the cross-country runners. I'm sticking up for them, but let me tell you, if they're not bringing in revenue, the universities are going to say, well, why do we have this hundreds of employees that are bringing in no revenue. We're in the revenue business now. So again, we're at a standstill. We're at a stalemate. We are at a stalemate. I mean, and it's on both sides here. People have come out and said this is going to be the one. I've seen this for the last week, actually the last few weeks. This bill's the one. They've already talked about it. They're going to discuss it. This is how it's going to work, and it's going to work out for everybody. And Republicans and Democrats have negotiated on this. And now everybody and their mother's out there saying, no, it won't work because of this, and it won't work because of that. And I have to ask you all, is this ever going to get through? I make it sound so easy, don't I? Is this ever going to get through? I do not know how you do this. I don't know how you do this. I mean, I just did 2 examples. That's just today. Just today. A Democratic senator saying, no, this is still way unfair for the players. They should be employees. You can't limit their earning potential. And coaches and ADs, even though they have a totally different setup. It's totally different. The senator there's trying to say, well, this is the same. So, but then he says, we do have to fix this. It's out of control. We got to fix this, but then he doesn't want to fix it. Then he says, well, you got to make them employees. And then you got Steve Scalise on the Republican side saying, I'm going to listen to the SEC and the Big Ten. They say this isn't going to work, so we aren't going to be able to push this through. So I guess where we stand on this, I said, we're at a standstill. I wonder if this is this the perfect example of our trust in some of the lawmakers to negotiate and work on things and get hard things done? I mean, that's why people have, and this is just a sports story, but it's a huge sports story now involving the federal government. Trump even sends out a message today, a long message today, saying, we got to get this bill done. This is the one to save college sports. Let me just ask you this on the text line tonight. Do you agree with me that we have to change something? So you could say, Nate, what's your answer? I don't have all the answers, but I am not going to just say no. I'm not going to say no. You can't do anything. You do have to do something. And so I got a message yesterday on the show that said, hey, the government, they shouldn't even get involved in this. It's just it's a free market, and the market's going to determine what happens. And if guys get paid and eventually it's going to be too much, the market will correct itself. And you just don't need to have the government involved at all. The problem is you have so many different state laws, and every university is doing something different. This state has this advantage. This state has that advantage. And then we're trying to play them on the same football field. And in the world of sports, we need an equal playing field. You need competitive parity, and you need standards in place that both organizations abide by. That's sports. And so I'm going to tell you, you've got to do something. Yet last 2 days, SEC and Big Ten say we don't like the bill. Today, Republican leader says, I don't like it if the SEC and Big Ten don't like it. Chris Murphy, Democrat, said this is still not good for the athletes. It's going to limit their potential. We got to fix something, but we got to make sure that they don't get treated differently than the coaches and the ADs, and then we're just back to square one. So I guess the tough work now starts for Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell. I don't know if they want to take this thing and just keep on going. How big of a priority is it? Some of you would say in this world, maybe not that big. But if you've already started the work on this, you've gotten this far, now they got to do the tough work. You got to lobby. You got to talk people into this thing. Because you can't just go back to square one doing the employee fight now. Well, they're going to be employees. No, they're not employees. And the Big Ten and SEC still want to control everything. Well, you can't have that either. My goodness. My. What does Trey Wallace think of this? He's a really good college sports reporter. He's with Outkick. He's been covering this story, and I want to see if this thing's going to keep on going and if Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell are going to keep pushing this to try and get people on board. I mean, everybody's coming out now and saying this is just not right. And this is the bill that they worked on for months Trey Wallace from Outkick, his take on this as we get going. John Schimmel's coming up from USD. South Dakota Sports Talk Show packed tonight.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
The summer heat will be here soon, but our hot summer savings sale starts now. Get $1,200 off every door and $800 off every window with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Hurry, this exclusive offer won't last long. Now's the perfect time to upgrade your windows and doors, so grab these hot savings while you can. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Time interviews and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown.
Hey, welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Just getting going. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live across the state on Fox Sports Radio. KWSN Sioux Falls, welcome in on Fox Sports Rapid City. Glad you're here. Busy show tonight. USD Athletic Director John Schimmel's coming up. We'll talk Yote Athletics. He just hired a new softball coach. There was some discussion around that. And John Schimmel, University of South Dakota AD, coming up. Trey Wallace is back in. Haven't had him for a while. Does great work. Senior college sports reporter for Outkick. He's on Twitter at Trey Wallace. Busy right now, and he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Trey, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good. Back and forth between different stories that are ongoing in college athletics, and man, always fun to hop on with you, brother.
I appreciate the time. I started my show with the College Senate bill last Thursday. That's when this came out officially. You know, Ted Cruz, Maria Cantwell, they released it. So that was 1 week ago, and now this Thursday, I feel like we're going off the rails already. I thought this stuff was already kind of bipartisan, hashed out, and now you got Republican Steve Scalise saying, well, SEC and Big Ten are against it. This isn't going to work. You got Democrat Senator Chris Murphy saying, no, it's two different systems. The athletes are not going to get good enough stuff here. We got trouble here?
Yeah, I think, well, look, this was always going to be the situation, but I don't think that probably Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell initially thought that there would be this much pushback. But then, since then, it's been interesting. You've had the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, come out in support of making changes here. The NCAA released a statement to their member institutions, essentially the guidelines, that, hey, look, we have something to work through here. There are problems in this, but, we think we can fix it. And obviously, I'm paraphrasing. But so you're getting it from a lot of different sides, and it really doesn't matter, I guess, the bipartisan thing when you have something so electric as this legislation. And so now it's, can they get through the next week and a half? There's going to be amendments that are put into this. Obviously, the changes are going to happen. Greg Sankey, the SEC and the Big Ten having conversations with Senator Cruz and others today. How far down the road does that get? So, yeah, I mean, we're in a spot where it's always hard for us as a country to agree on anything.
All right.
and the timeline of this is important as well. And I know we'll get into it, but man, you got to get to, if they plan on having this thing passed, and there's going to be, like I said, a lot of changes, I think, made to this. They got until August, because after August, man, Congress goes into recess, and then it's all about campaigning for the midterms. And I don't think many senators and whatnot, congressional leaders are going to be able to go back to their home state and say, yeah, vote for me because I'm helping change college athletics. I don't think that goes very far.
Okay, so that's interesting. To me, I love sports, you love sports, and you guys cover sports and politics at Outkick and the intersection there. So I would think this is a positive thing, meaning if we can't, hey, we all help, fix college sports, and maybe that's not your priority when you're campaigning, but if you can't say, hey, we did this, I mean, why do they make this so hard? I would think this would be a positive thing for both sides.
Yeah, there's just so much in between. There's so much, whether that be pooling media rights, whether that be antitrust exemption, meaning, how does the NCAA stay out of court? That's the thing that's going on right now, and it's become a tipping point, is that, and I'm not saying every time, but essentially when something does not go a player's way, the quickest way to remedy that situation is go to a local judge.
Yeah.
If the local judge helps out. Now, I'm not saying that, look, the NCAA is not getting beaten in every single one of these cases. There's a massive case going on right now in the state of Texas in a Lubbock District Court involving Brendan Sorsby, who is right now ineligible as the quarterback at Texas Tech, but he's suing the NCAA, essentially saying the NCAA does not care for his mental health disorder, also known as addiction, and they should allow him, that a judge should say in his ruling that the NCAA is the bad guy here. We think that Brendan Sorsby should be able to play because, and also the other thing too is Texas Tech and Sorsby came back and offered a 2-game suspension. And to me, there's a hard line there, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic here, but you gambled on your own team, and that should be the one and end all right there. That's it. But we're gonna find out, and so that's the problem, is that there are so many different things in this legislation that could essentially be taken to court over. And I think a salary cap and whatnot. And meaning, what that means is you got to enforce the House settlement. So $20.5 million a year. They're trying to cut out the third-party collectives. And a lot of that centers around, too, what these multimedia rights companies are doing on the side by signing these players to deals for their name, image, and likeness. But really, they're just warehousing them, meaning they're signing players to deals, maybe, let's just say, a $2 million deal for a starting quarterback, and then you don't really, you're not having the players actually go out and do anything for that money right now. So that's where you're seeing the problems. And, this long answer to say there's going to be a lot of things that are discussed over the next 3 weeks. And if they can't figure this out, I don't know how they're going to get this thing passed.
Trey Wallace joining us tonight, senior college sports reporter for Outkick. He's here on the Nate Brown Show. Follow him on X if you're not. Great coverage on the college sports landscape at Trey Wallace. So, for example, it looks like the Democrats wanted, employee status. Like some of them still want collective bargaining there, the athletes and them, they should be like the coaches and the ADs where they're making money and they have contracts, and so that's what the athletes should get. There's a big section, I think, of sports fans that say, well, that's what you're going to have to do. That's it. But my concern, Trey, is what happens to the Olympic sports, the cross country, the swimming, the golfing? If they're employees and they're not making money for their quote-unquote company, why are universities going to keep those employees around? I feel like that's what Nick Saban was saying. He said everything else is going to go to club sports if you don't get this figured out.
Well, the problem is, and I think, look, I'm of the opinion that I think collective bargaining could work, but that is complicated. So, and I mean that as in, I think 3 to 4 years from now, sit down at the table and have a conversation. But here's where it gets problematic. And, Saban was kind of discussing this in a way. You can't have, and no offense to this sport, but you can't have the water polo player or the track and field athlete sitting at the same table as the starting quarterback at Texas or you name it, Ohio State, and saying, okay, well, we're going to discuss a deal. We're going to discuss collective bargaining. And we feel as though, not the same ballpark money-wise, but we need to be paid as well like the starting quarterback is. Well, that's your problem.
Yes.
Those two can't be at the same table. We are at a different level here. So when it comes to paying these athletes, and if you making them employees, that's where it gets so tricky because the metrics are so different. Football, even for some schools, even men's, women's basketball is so different than it is for track and field, softball, baseball. So being able to negotiate for this and come up with a right figure, monetary figure, that's where your problems align. And I think so. So the other way to go about it is, would football break away and football be its own entity outside of the NCAA? Because you got to remember, the NCAA doesn't make a lot of, if any, money off college football.
Right.
So do you break away and have football be able to negotiate on their own, be a separate entity? A lot of people are calling it the super conference or whatnot. No, it's not really that. It's more or less how many teams can fit into this one hand of massive schools that are making the revenue. Because at the end of the day, football and some basketball at schools, not a lot, are the ones that are affording the Olympic sports. And even, the softballs, the basketballs, the swimming and whatnot. That's just the reality that we live in now.
Yeah.
And I am very curious to see how they try to get through this. Because I was at SEC spring meetings last week, Nate, and they are talking about collective bargaining. I'm not saying they're going to do it.
Okay.
I'm saying they're starting to have those conversations now, whereas in a year ago, you bring that topic up and it's just shushed off to the side. Now they're at least, presenting what options could look like. And I'm not, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying that is the right way to go. What I am saying is that we sat for the last 4 years and watched the conference officials, the NCAA, you name it, try to get the SCORE Act passed. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, now that's just dead. It's 6 feet under, buried somewhere in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So you spend 4 years trying to get that legislation passed, and now you're sitting here with a new one. And I just think, man, time is of the essence. And unfortunately, it shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. Like, we should be able to have substantial arguments and be able to discuss these type of things. But if they just try to push this thing through, Nate, I just don't see how it's going to work out.
Okay, so that's my question. Scale of 1 to 10 that this gets through a version of this in the next month. Scale of 1 to 10, your optimism.
I think probably around like 40-50%. I mean, you asked for a scale of 1 to 10, so I don't know, maybe a 5. And I would probably say a 5. And I know that might sound like a cop-out answer, but it's really not. We don't know what's going to happen over the next week and a half as they try to amend this thing. And meaning, is Congress, Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell, both senators, going to give in a little bit to whatever the SEC and the Big Ten want? They're going to come up with a compromise here? Because initially you put this stuff out and it goes to the amendment phase and you're going to get different arguments from different people. If they can make it work, and if either side can just lay down their sword when it comes to this and say, okay, look, we'll compromise on this part. We're not doing fooling of media rights, or stop bringing it up, stop talking about it, type of deal. And then you have the other side, okay, we'll have discussions about further antitrust exemptions. Like, maybe they can get there, but I just feel like where we're at right now and the backlash that we are seeing, I think it's going to make it difficult. I'm not saying it can't, but man, this is congressional stuff here. And like I said earlier, we just went through 4 years of trying to pass the SCORE Act, and that just came up dead. So now I'm curious to see what kind of pull do these big conferences, a.k.a. the SEC and the Big Ten, how much does Congress really need them? We're about to find out, because if they need them, they're going to give in a little bit. And if they don't, man, this is going to be a fascinating watch.
Find him at Outkick, senior college sports reporter. He's on X at Trey Wallace. Last quick one, Brendan Sorsby, that thing's going on. The judge hasn't ruled yet. I've said on this show, this is the last stand for the NCAA on something this out front. If the NCAA loses here, it's all over, man. They can't enforce anything. So I think the NCAA has to win. Will they?
This is the biggest case that I have seen in front of a local court, in my opinion, outside the House settlement and, Austin case, whatnot, that the NCAA's faced in recent memory. They can't lose this thing. If they lose this, and you get a Lubbock District Court judge, by the way, the judge is not a Texas Tech guy or anything like that, based out of Houston, but what I am getting at is that the NCAA loses here, and this young man is granted an injunction, no pun intended, but all bets are off here.
Yeah,
because
really.
Now it gets crazy. I mean, this is it. Like, you can't bet. I wrote an article about the other day, and I was very intent about my words here. You cannot gamble on your own team. I do not care if he was on the scout team leading up to games. I don't care if he was the one that was sitting there, picking up towels in the locker room. You're on the roster. You're at the university. You bet on your own team. That is the one rule, obvious rule, that you cannot do. You can't break that one. And he did it 40 different times at Indiana. So, and by the way, Nate, we're not even talking about him betting on Indiana basketball,
right?
Cincinnati basketball,
right?
$6,000 worth of bets on other college football games. Like, he gambled, and I respect the fact that he is fighting an addiction. I understand that completely. But at the end of the day, it's not the NCAA's problem or their fault. They can help the young man out with whatever he needs. Maybe, if he does not get the injunction. But to end it, this is not on the NCAA for them saying, hey, buddy, you broke a rule. Now you have to pay for it. I don't care if it was 4 years ago or not. So this is going to be fascinating to me. I am expecting a decision. sometime by Monday.
Okay.
And I'm very curious. I was talking with the editor about this. I'm sorry to go long here, but I don't know if a judge, I don't think a judge cares, but Texas Tech is playing tonight in the College World Series, the Women's College World Series. Would a judge release a ruling at, it's 5:40 Central Time now? Would they do it tomorrow, before Texas Tech, if they win tonight, make the grand stage? So buckle up, man. This is going to be a wild, I think, 72 to 96 hours.
I'm with you. I just can't let them play. Texas Tech QB Brendan Sorsby under the microscope and the judge awaiting a ruling. Trey Wallace is in tonight. Great stuff to get us started on Fox Sports in South Dakota. He's at Outkick, senior college sports reporter on Twitter at Trey Wallace. Trey, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Thanks a lot. Trey Wallace, really good senior college sports reporter for Outkick here on the Nate Brown Show tonight, getting us started talking all sorts of college sports mess. I mean, it's a mess. What does John Schemmel have to say about this stuff? Does the Senate stuff, does that have any trickle down, any impact on a school like USD, NIL, and all of this stuff? What impact does that have? I'm going to get into that. And the new softball coach is hired at USD. What does everybody think? Shannon Pivovar is the head coach now. She was the associate. Now she's the head coach. John Schemmel's the athletic director for the Yotes. He's next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
The following radio ad is Good Fun Squad approved.
My name is Jenny, and I'm the lady at the South Dakota Lottery who writes out those big checks for our winners. It's a lot of fun, but we've had so many big winners lately, my hand is tired. There was a $600,000 winner, a $2 million winner, a $4 million winner. That's a lot of zeros, and not normal zeros, big check zeros, and the winning never stops. That's why I'm learning to write with both hands.
Good fun.
Must be 18 or older to play. Please play responsibly.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. The night, you also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
If you want the peace of mind that your next pre-owned vehicle is the best it can be, you want Honda True. And you only find it at Danny Manholt Rushmore Honda. Our Honda certified pre-owned vehicles are thoroughly inspected and backed by 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, up to 2 complimentary oil changes, 24/7 roadside assistance, inspection report, and 3-day exchange. You simply can't buy the wrong vehicle. Search our inventory at honda-true.com or see us at Denny Manholt Rushmore Honda.
Are you tired of being pointed to a wall of shoes? At Trav's Outfitter, we know better. Buying shoes shouldn't be guesswork. That's why we find the right footwear for the way you move, whether you're walking, working, or just on your feet all day. Athletics, work boots, Western boots, everyday comfort. Because when the fit is right, life is better. Come find us in the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
Hi, this is Jeremy with Jerry's Cakes and Donuts, inviting you to kickstart your morning by dropping by and grabbing some fresh donuts. I want to thank you for voting us the best in the Black Hills. We're up early making your favorite donuts, so stop by and bring some to the office. Everybody loves Jerry's Cakes and Donuts, and we love you, so stop by, get a great selection to brighten up your day. Serving Rapid City for over 40 years, Jerry's Cakes and Donuts at 109 East Omaha, and remember to like Jerry's on Facebook for some great giveaways.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? This is State Farm Agent Matt McCormick. Let me help you simplify and get to a better state. With me handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. Even more money, too. because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Call me, State Farm agent Matt McCormick, and get to a better state with State Farm. 348-0464.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, your sports, your show. We are live tonight across South Dakota on Fox Sports Radio, our affiliates, Fox Sports Rapid City. Also welcome in on KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. We'll talk about a Sioux Falls sports story I'm interested in today with Zach Borg. He's with Midwest Sports Plus. Put something out there today I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to get into that when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Zach Borg's also going to be our guest coming up. We'll talk to Keith Smith tonight as well, NBA analyst covering the finals. Game 1 last night. Really good. Knicks. Surprise. Knicks up 1-0. Keith Smith coming up, NBA analyst for Spot Track. Let's go to USD. Athletic director for the Yotes. Enjoy talking with him, having him on the show throughout the year. And entering summer, but things are busy. Hiring a new softball coach, promoting within the athletic department as well. Deputy AD. So let's get him. John Schemmel, athletic director for the Yotes. John, how are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. Thanks for having me. I always love being on.
I appreciate your time. So things are going, and I wanted to get your take on the softball program first. You introduced a new head coach, but a familiar face, Shannon Pivovar. She's elevated to head coach. What's the state of your softball program?
Yeah, it's, first, just incredibly excited to have Piv taken over. We went through a full national search, and, it was the appropriate thing to do in these circumstances. And, really throughout these last, I guess it took a total of 13, 14 days, really just kept coming back to the bar that was set when we had initial talks with her. And we really treated her like every other candidate, which is always awkward when you have an internal candidate, just the natural state of that. And she's staying in touch with the players while pursuing the job. But the immense for the position, the interest for the position was immense. And so, we really did a thorough process. Alexa Rudin and Corey Jenkins led that for us. And but we just kept coming back to Piv, and really what it came down to, Nate, was just, one, her passion for USD and Vermilion is real, and it just spills out of her. And she loves this place and loves being here. But more than that, just the love she has for her players and the relationship aspect of the game and the sport and really what we do. And providing an elite, holistic student-athlete experience is what she's all about, and that's really what kept bringing her back to the top the whole time. And so, incredibly excited for her, and incredibly excited for our team and our student-athletes, and incredibly excited for USD softball.
Are the expectations different now when you make a run to the tournament like that and really compete against some really good teams? I mean, Vermilion hasn't been a hot spot for winning a bunch of softball games, honestly, John. So are the expectations different now because there was a run there?
Yeah, no, generally speaking, no. I think the expectations for softball and for all of our programs is to provide a great student-athlete experience and provide the opportunity to compete for championships. And, we've set that expectation across the board. And so does it drastically change? No, not at all. I think those expectations are there. And we've got to do a better job, we being myself and administratively and just holistically with the department. You look at softball, our facilities holistically are tremendous. And now with the field house coming here in the near future, the Dome being a turf down facility, we just opened a new pool this last year. And then we got to get softball done. And you look really sport to sport, softball is probably the worst off when it comes to the competition facility, and we know that, and I know that, and that's part of our plan. And so I'm taking responsibility to make sure we get that done as part of our master plan, and once we get those facilities done, be really excited about what we think we can do in softball. And in the meantime, we made some incremental changes, and the old dome pool is all new cages for softball and golf hitting, and but obviously the facility itself, the main crown jewel there, the stadium, we've got to get done and upgraded here in the next several years.
John Schemmel on tonight from University of South Dakota, the Yotes athletic director, softball head coach introduced. Shannon Pivovar, familiar name, was the associate coach and now the head coach for the Yotes after a softball run into the tourney. What do you think that tourney run did do for a softball brand, though, because you just don't get a highlight like that, and USD was on some highlights.
It was, it was great to see just the exposure that the program got. I'll tell you, Nate, just my favorite part the whole time when the girls were on this run was just how much joy they were having with each other and playing the game. And really my favorite part kept being the post-game interviews, whether it was on ESPN or anywhere else. They were having a lot of fun with it and giving the person being interviewed a pretty hard time. But that exposure for the program, for those girls, is always so great and so fun, but the exposure for our institution, and at the end of the day, we're all part of higher education, and part of our charge is to be the front porch, and part of our charge is to bring exposure to our brand and all the great things that the University of South Dakota provides. And so anytime we can get on a national stage like that and have really great moments like that, obviously, there's an incredible moment with Piv and Katie with the pinch hit, and those things are so special. And Nate, that's one of the things I always love about athletics and college athletics in particular. It just seems like athletics and sport in general are there's so many moments like that, and they only seem to happen in athletics, and those things are magic, and those are memories that all these girls will have the rest of their lives, and that's incredibly special.
That was cool. USD softball made a run, competed at a high level against some great programs before getting knocked out. Let's go big picture here. So I've been talking about this U.S. Senate bill on college sports, and everybody has an opinion now on both sides of the aisle. It's into politics now, and this is going to be tough. Are you watching this? Because it doesn't have anything to do with USD and essentially the FCS right now, but if there's things that change and a landscape like this that changes, I wonder if the trickle down ends up impacting your level. Are you watching what's happening?
Absolutely, yeah, and it does. There's some things that are FBS specific, but obviously you talk about age-based eligibility and age-based college athletics, that impacts all of us. I think there are most of the elements in there, Nate, I'm all for.
Okay.
We've got to, if nothing else, we've got to have some governance and some controls in place. We shouldn't be having 25, 26, 27-year-old student athletes. And the only reason they want to be student athletes is because they can make money now. And the reality is, we all know, I think, and I'm just coming off Summit League and Missouri Valley Football Conference meetings over the last several days and last several weeks, really. We all know who we are. And I say that meaning we know who we're trying to compete with, both right now and aspirationally. And we're not motivated to have the biggest NIL rosters. That isn't what motivates us. No one's going to come to the University of South Dakota to get rich. I always joke, what are we doing here when it turns into my goal is to go to college to retire. I don't know when the hell it turned into that. But some of this stuff is just getting silly. Certainly we're motivated to do the things we need to do to compete. But some of these things we've got to have controls in place with the age-based eligibility. All for it. Trying to find some limits and transfers, all for it. And candidly, Nate, I think most of the student athletes are too. It's just making sure they have a voice at the table. But we can't set our market until they do at the very top. And that's the frustrating thing about this is, we could all say, hey, we're going to set our cap or limits or whatever we're going to do as a league and do this. Well, then the Summit League does that, but then if the Missouri Valley and the Horizon League and all these other mid-major leagues don't do the same, then now we just put ourselves at a competitive disadvantage. So really, until it gets figured out at the top, then that's when the trickle-down effect really comes, because then we all know kind of where we're going to fit, and we can kind of set our own limits and all that from there. But I appreciate the support. I'm glad it's a priority nationally, and I'm also kind of keeping it in the context of we got a war going on, and so am I optimistic that it's going to get through Senate, Congress, things like that anytime quickly with other much more important things going on in the world? Maybe not, but I certainly appreciate them discussing it, taking it seriously, and doing what they can to help.
Kind of a hot topic, at least right now, and kind of a strict timetable if they're going to get anything done on this, John. I will say, isn't the transfer thing pretty big for you if they hold on to a one-time transfer? Like, you get to transfer once, and that's it, unless a coach changes. I mean, there's some rules there, but isn't the transfer thing big for a USD one time?
It's huge, and not even because, I think I'll put it in the context of just a few of our sports, and I won't necessarily get into specifics, but when it's unlimited, in a certain sport, you might have a kid or a student athlete leave because they can go make an extra $25,000 or $30,000 somewhere else. And, if it's a one-time transfer, even if you have a student athlete that can go make real money, and we would never get upset with a student athlete for leaving to financially change their life. But, it might be easier for us to keep them around 2 or 3 years. And so they're not leaving to make an extra $50,000. And then if they have the opportunity at some point in their career to go make $500,000 or $1 million, God bless you, and go do great things. And so just the ability to keep student athletes a little bit more intact, I'm all for. And even after that, we'll never restrict kids from leaving. They'll just have to sit out a year to do it and be less motivated to do so. So I think it provides more thought through the whole process. And the other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is just the controls on agents and certification process in this bill that's been discussed for a long time. That would be huge, because these agents are causing so many problems, and so many of them aren't very good. And they're robbing these kids blind, taking 10, 20, 30, 40%, when in professional sports it's 3, 4, maybe 5. And these kids don't know any better, and they're getting robbed by these agents.
Boy, it's quite something right now in college sports, and it's going to be something over the next couple of weeks. We'll talk more USD as the summer gets ready to go. John Schimmel in tonight. USD hiring new softball coach, and also promoting within new deputy AD. So the Yotes getting ready for the rest of 2026. John, I always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Thanks, Nate, and go Yotes.
Appreciate the time. John Schimmel in tonight from USD, athletic director for the Yotes, live. His first interview since hiring Shannon Pivovar, new softball coach, the associate coach, now the head coach for the Yotes. Boy, he's saying this Senate bill, he has a close eye on a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff. The one-time transfer thing's pretty big for USD and an SDSU. I mean, we've seen the transfers, right? So USD football got slammed. Got absolutely slammed. They were good a couple of years ago, and then they got hit hard. So the one-time thing makes athletes kind of think, well, as he said, am I going for $100,000 or am I going for, I might get $30,000. So that's why something's got to be done here. Are we going to get anything done? We'll see. Busy college sports landscape. Full hour on that so far. That's good stuff tonight. Coming right back, I'm going to go to this scene from last night in the NBA Finals. I'm not going to talk about the Spurs or the Knicks. I'm going to talk about what happened, and I might call it old man yelling at the clouds, but I think you'll agree with me coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
The summer heat will be here soon, but our hot summer savings sale starts now. Get $1,200 off every door and $800 off every window with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Hurry, this exclusive offer won't last long. Now's the perfect time to upgrade your windows and doors, so grab these hot savings while you can. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
All right, South Dakota Sports Talk Show live tonight. Good stuff in the first hour. John Schimmel at USD, athletic director, joined us talking Yote Athletics. Trey Wallace was on tonight, senior college sports reporter for Outkick. Was really good to start the show on this Senate bill, and man, a lot to discuss coming up. Everybody's getting involved in this Senate bill about college sports. That's wild. How about last night? Let's go to this. See if I can be reasonable here. Let's see if I can be reasonable. So I'm watching the NBA Finals, Game 1. Watched every play last night. And my daughter's coming out. She's watching it. And then we see the kid, the guy, run onto the court. We see him run onto the court in the fourth quarter. It's crunch time. He runs onto the court. You've seen this, right? He's a juvenile, by the way. The news came out on that today. He came out onto the court, and he tried doing either a selfie or a video. I think it was a video with Wembanyama. And so then security gets him off the court, and here's what has happened today. He has been banned from all NBA arenas for life. He's been banned for life. And somebody else, I guess, was like helping him. Just, whatever. They had a tag team effort. So that person's been banned for life by helping him. So 2 people at the Spurs game last night with the court run, streak, whatever you want to call it. He was clothed, but trying to get the video with Wemby. They've been banned from all NBA arenas now for life. That's it. Those 2 are done. So the crusty old guy in me says, oh, that's excellent. I'm okay with that. You can't do stuff like this because here's what people are saying. Here's the real crusty old guys. You know what I saw today? They say you can blame that episode last night on our culture, YouTube and TikTok. So these is that you out there tonight? Hey, please tell me if you're the really crusty old guy that said, yeah, that's why that stuff happens, because everything's look at me. I want to put you on TikTok and YouTube and Snapchat. I'm going to get a picture. I'm going to get a video. I'm going to be a star. This kid, did he think he was going to become a star? And by the way, he may be banned from the NBA arenas for life. Is he going to get any, interviews off this? Is he going to get money off this? My guess is he's going to be interviewed and stuff. That's my guess. That's just that's the world we live in. They do it for the attention, but see, everybody said the only reason that happened not everybody, but I saw this reaction. The only reason that happened last night was our culture, TikTok, YouTube, the look at me, the social media garbage. That's why you have kids run out of the NBA Finals. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to get a video with Wemby. And I'm not going to go that far. I'm good with banning him from the NBA arena. You can't be a dummy. You take a big risk like that, you do something stupid like that, you're done. That's it. So I'm not going to cry over that. I'm not going to whine about that. I am not going to be the old man yelling at the clouds tonight that says the only reason that happened was the YouTube, the culture, the social media, all that stuff. We've always had people do stupid stuff, guys. I mean, I think it's really easy. I don't like the look at me culture. I don't like the videos, the Snapchats, the selfies, the whatever. I could count on one hand how many selfies I've taken in my life. I'm serious about that. Maybe that's just because it's me, but I don't do that stuff. So I don't like that stuff. I hate that stuff. It's not the reason we have streakers at games. We've always had people jump out on. You know why we have it? Because people are goofy. I do not believe you can blame YouTube on that last night. You cannot blame YouTube on that last night. Have you? I mean, we've had people run down NFL games and Super Bowls and whatever for years. For years, guys. Right? Back in the day, even. So I'm old, but I'm not that old tonight. Thanks for getting in. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate, thanks for taking my call. You made me chuckle a little bit just with the irony in what you're talking about.
Okay.
That these old crusty guys, well, I would be one of those guys. But anyway, they're chiming in that they're just doing it because of today's culture and the me. But yet they're on social media telling you their opinion like it matters.
Yes, yes,
I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, ironic,
anyway.
right?
Yeah,
all right.
Yes.
Appreciate you. Thanks for getting in. No, I mean, I don't like the look at me, the Snapchats. I mean, yeah, don't get me started. I don't get me started. I don't need to bring you into my, brown dinner conversations. Do I? Maybe I do. Maybe that'd be good stuff tonight. I don't think my family wants that, okay? Don't get me started on that. So I don't need that. Look at me, the post, the this and that, the Facebook, the YouTube, the whatever. But we don't have streakers or people running onto games and stuff like this only because of our I want to be on YouTube and TikTok thing. So stupid stuff, dumb stuff last night, banned for life. Boy, what a decision. What a decision. It's all about decisions in life. And boy, they made a good one last night. Coming right back, is Sioux Falls really going to be in the mix when it comes to this big event? This is an interesting discussion. I want to get into the middle of this coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
At Splash City, we think there's a time for everything. There's work time, there's play time, and there's your time. Splash City specializes in your time. Spas for you and your friends. Beautiful gas fireplaces that can be used almost anywhere, bringing warmth to the night or letting you be alone with your thoughts. Splash City. Rest, relax, enjoy.
Time to get the groceries for this weekend's cookout. You pick out the best quality grass-fed ground beef and the finest all-natural hot dogs. And then you almost blow it when you hit the bread aisle and reach for the Mad Buns just because they're national brand. Don't do it. Upgrade to locally baked Village Hearth hot dog and hamburger buns. They're soft, fresh, and sturdy enough for toppings that mean business. Success! Village Hearth. Because when the bun's that good, everything you put in it just tastes better.
At Dakota Discount RV, we're in it for the long haul, just like you. Whether it's cross-country adventures, weekends by the lake, or family time under the stars, we're here to keep you rolling for years to come. While others are packing up, we're doubling down with dependable service, great prices, and the biggest selection in the region. Your journey doesn't stop here, and neither do we. Here tomorrow, here for every mile ahead. Visit us in Rapid City or Somerset or online at DakotaDiscountRV.com.
Host your next big event at the Box Elder Event Center, now featuring all new lighting, enhanced sound, and cutting-edge AV. Your destination for conventions, conferences, weddings, tournaments, concerts, and private parties of all kinds. Plus, their gourmet catering isn't just for on-site events, they'll deliver straight to you. Don't miss the Pickle Boo Pickleball Tournament and Fall Hoop Fest. Learn more and book today at thebox.live.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Since 1928, Connect Home Center has been proud to serve Rapid City and Spearfish with quality products and customer service that you can trust. In 2000, Connect joined the Mead Lumber family, and now they're taking the next step into their journey. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name from design to finish. Mead Lumber is here for you, as they've always been. MeadLumber.com.
Have you ever really thought about how important your front door, and every entry door into your home for that matter, really is? That door provides security for your family and so much more. The wait is over. Ensemble Doors by Renewal by Andersen have arrived. These awesome secure doors have timeless style, elegant features. They can be customized countless ways with the legendary quality of Renewal by Andersen. Right now, Renewal by Andersen is offering an incredible value on Ensemble entry doors. You get 20% off every Ensemble entry door. No money down, no interest, no payments for 12 months. No payments for a year. Ensemble entry doors by Renewal by Andersen are just so much better. They're built with the best quality materials, including Renewal by Andersen's exclusive Fibrex, which has been tested to deliver enhanced security, certified performance, and lasting beauty. Please visit RBARapidCity.com now. That's RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate. Ensemble entry doors, the wait is over.
One more time. This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. I really do. Our sponsors across the state on South Dakota Sports Talk Show making this show happen, and you, the listener, making this show even possible. Thanks for checking in with us. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Second hour ready to go on Fox Sports Radio, our affiliates, KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. Hope you've had a good day. Packed first hour. Great couple of guests. USD Athletic Director John Schemmel on the college sports bill in the U.S. Senate, what that would mean for USD and schools like that. New softball coach for the Yotes as well, Shannon Pivovar, promoted from within. Trey Wallace was on tonight, senior college sports reporter for Outkick. Really good perspective from Trey on the U.S. Senate bill. It's a big one you're going to hear a lot about, I think, if you're in the sports world and you're interested in this stuff. A big College Sports Act. Are they going to save college sports? Can the U.S. Senate save college sports? We shall find out, but we'll be there for every second of it. If you can't get all of the show, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. You can get every show, every guest, because we don't repeat guests or play stuff back. Try and give you new stuff each time out. We know you can't listen to all 2 hours, so go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search the Nate Brown Show, and you've got the podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, be a part of the conversation, 605-720-1067. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, 605-720-1067. Powered by the Pizza Ranch in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Speaking of Sioux Falls, okay, this is an interesting story from my friend Zach Borg. Zach Borg's a broadcaster for Midwest Sports Plus. He's been on TV in Sioux Falls for many years. And he put out a good story on, how I said, a month ago that I don't think Sioux Falls will get an NCAA tournament, meaning they've been looking at trying to get one of the first and second round sites. So Sioux Falls Sports Authority, I know these guys, they've done a good job over the years, really aggressive, really smart in tackling some of this stuff. They put Sioux Falls on the map, getting some NCAA events, but they said, could we get the big boy? Could we get a first and second round NCAA men's tournament? And I don't think that's possible. And come to find out, we now know that that's not possible. The first and second round of the men's tournament, you need 8 full service, full kitchens, hotels, end of story, teams, officials, all of that stuff. So Sioux Falls isn't quite there. So it's just like the details and the logistics. Everybody says, hey, Sioux Falls should be able to get a NCAA tournament. Well, no, the NCAA just takes you off the list when you don't have exactly what they need, and so you're out. However, Zach Borg writes this, or puts out this story today at Midwest Sports Plus. Could Sioux Falls be in the mix for the expanded first round of the tournament? Now I'm gonna come at you on the middle of the road here. I didn't think Sioux Falls would maybe have a shot at that weeks ago, but I think about this. Do you think Phoenix or someplace like that wants a play-in setup? I mean, do you think Phoenix is actually like, yeah, we got to get one of these first 12 games? No, I mean, they want Final Fours. They want regionals. We're talking Sweet 16 Elite Eights. I mean, that's what like Phoenix, Dallas, and those places want. Seriously. So does Sioux Falls have a shot? As a matter of fact, they say this summer they're going to find out where these first play-in games, this expanded tournament. Remember, we're going to 76 teams. I told you I'm okay with it. I know you guys have yelled at me about that, but I'm okay with it. And now, wouldn't you be okay with it, everybody? Come on. You'd be there. Let's say Sioux Falls gets a first-round play-in. I'm not talking first-round men's tournament. This would be the play-in games, the extra games. What if Sioux Falls becomes a host for that? They have put in for it. The Sioux Falls Sports Authority has put in for that. You don't need the 8 full-service, full-kitchen stuff. They've got enough for that. So could Sioux Falls put this on the map? Could they get the opening round, new expanded tournament for the NCAA men's tournament? It will be announced. The sites, they're saying, will be announced sometime this summer. And I'm not gonna kill that one, because I started thinking, I'm like, wait, Sioux Falls isn't gonna be up there with the Des Moines, or and then you raise the level, the Dallases, the places like this. Well, Dallas, Phoenix, Las Vegas, they don't want this first round, do they? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think they do. I think they want the big stuff. I don't think they want this. And I'm gonna say, I love that Sioux Falls Sports Authority is going after it. I love that. I love the aggressiveness. The Sioux Falls Sports Authority in Sanford, by the way, announcing these volleyball and basketball tournaments, I mean, they've been lighting it up recently. I mean, 2025 was a huge year into 2026. Just a huge sports event year in Sioux Falls, and I got to credit that. They've been lighting it up. So could they do it? I think Sioux Falls could do it, and I'm going to tell you, would you be interested in supporting that? Let me throw that out there in the question of the day in the second round of the second hour of the program. It feels like the second round. I've been going for rounds tonight. Would you support that in Sioux Falls? With the announcement expected this summer, do you actually think Sioux Falls has a legitimate shot to be a host for the expanded opening round, to be a host site for the expanded opening round, the play-in games for the NCAA men's tournament? Sioux Falls Sports Authority has put in a bid to try and get it done. Do you think they can get it done? And by the way, I do believe if they somehow got some games, I think Sioux Falls and people would show up. I think people would show up to that because you'd have some pretty big brands. You'd have some play-in stuff with some SEC, Big Ten maybe. So I think you'd have some great support. I would go to that. I would absolutely go to that. Why wouldn't you go to that? Opening round of the tournament? I wish Rob Kagron was here. He'd tell me he wouldn't go to it. Of course you'd go to it. Can Sioux Falls have a legitimate shot at it? My question of the day, 84% of you say yes, Sioux Falls should have a shot. 16% of you say no, a bigger city will get it. List a reaction from Matt. Not Matt Kearney, but Matt. I think it would do great here, especially the first year. You tell me. I thought that was interesting. Sioux Falls trying to get the opening round expanded tournament of the men's basketball tournament, 76 teams. It'll be announced this summer. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I just appreciate somebody trying to make something happen. I appreciate that. I think Sioux Falls would be fine. That'd be great. I'd be there for that. You'd be there to 15, playing a 15. You're going to get some other teams too, remember. So I would be there. I think it'd be big. Zach Borg reported on this. I'm going to get his read on it. Zach Borg, our next guest from Midwest Sports Plus. What did he find out on the Sioux Falls Sports Authority trying to get this tournament coming up?
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
The summer heat will be here soon, but our hot summer savings sale starts now. Get $1,200 off every door and $800 off every window with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Hurry, this exclusive offer won't last long. Now's the perfect time to upgrade your windows and doors, so grab these hot savings while you can. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. How you doing tonight? Solid? You're gonna run out on the court Friday in San Antonio, get a YouTube video, get banned for life from the NBA arenas. Great work, everybody. Let's keep it up. The Nate Brown Show live. Thanks for being here. Zach Borg is on tonight. He's a double feature on the Nate Brown Show tonight. I just talked about Zach's story that he just did, Midwest Sports Plus, about Sioux Falls. Could they be the site of an expanded NCAA tournament? The opening round, we're going to 76 teams. Could Sioux Falls host the opening round play-in games? That story's good stuff. He did a deep dive, and he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Zach, welcome in. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm kind of glad to see that story got the reach it did, especially because I think it's one of the longer ones I've ever did at like 10 minutes. But,
okay.
It was fun to put on the investigative hat, if you will.
I liked it. I thought it was well done. Great work on that. I watched that today. Find it if you have it on Midwest Sports Plus. So here's the moral of the stories I took away. I don't think Sioux Falls, I never thought Sioux Falls could get a first round and second round thing. I just never thought that, and people said, well, why not? The sports authorities tried it. I mean, they want to do it. Well, it gets into the details, the full-service kitchen hotels, and you got to have 8, and it's just so much of the logistics. So Sioux Falls is out of that running for now. But what do you think about an opening round where you just get these extra games? They want this. I don't know if it's a long shot, but I think Sioux Falls would be outstanding for it.
Well, I do. I think as well. I mean, obviously, I know in the past I'd heard kind of rumblings they were bidding if ever it went away from Dayton. Obviously, it never has gone away from Dayton in the original form. Now, there would be a lot of teams. I'm not quite sure that I've heard yet exactly what the format of this is going to be. I believe you're going to have, I still think you're going to have something like 4 games at each of these sites, so it's still going to be 8 teams. So you're still going to need, 8 pretty good hotels, but you don't necessarily need them for as long because obviously whoever wins is moving on to, the next rounds of the tournament. Whoever loses is going home. You don't have to worry about it being a full week-long thing. So there are some different parameters, and I think that it makes it possible. Now, I've also heard from some other people that they might be looking a little more west for this. I don't know, but on the outset, Sioux Falls certainly has a good chance. I mean, I think if the Sanford Pentagon were a little bit bigger, too, it would make a very intriguing possibility. But I think the Sioux Falls is in the mix for it. We'll see. I mean, the announcement, I think, will come later this summer overall. And I still wouldn't give up necessarily on the opening rounds, the traditional opening rounds of the tournament in Sioux Falls at some point. As I think one of the important things I really wanted to get across in that story, because I know the story of Sioux Falls trying to chase an NCAA tournament has been done before, and I did it before back in 2016. But I thought it was kind of important to put the perspective of Des Moines, who spent many years trying to get that tournament and kind of what they had to go through. And the general manager of the Iowa Events Center said it pretty good. I mean, it's persistence. You have to be kind of constantly putting your hat in the ring, and obviously they made a lot of investments outside of the arena. It helped that some hotels came on, but as he admitted, the first time they hosted, they kind of stretched it a little bit, but they made it work, and I think eventually Sioux Falls can get there, but we'll see how long it takes. But again, I think in the short term, this first four thing could provide that opportunity right now to get a foothold in there.
Okay, so Sioux Falls Sports Authority trying to get one of these opening round sites for the expanded NCAA basketball tournament. I know Sanford Pentagon's not involved in this, but they do all of these big events, the D1 stuff, volleyball, basketball, and that just continues to happen. It's been a huge year, 2025, 2026, big events. I said Sanford and the Sports Authority have been lighting it up. Those college events can only help Sioux Falls get on, I don't know, a better rep. You know what I mean?
I agree, and it's been that way for a long time, and that's why I said, it's a shame the Pentagon isn't a little bigger because it hosts just so much stuff, and now it's frankly becoming a bigger player in the volleyball world as well. We're seeing a bunch of large volleyball events now coming to Sioux Falls here over the next year, but the one thing I do wish the Premier Center, and I don't know who the GM is, I didn't try to speak to them in that story, I kind of wish they would try to attract some more sporting events outside of what they already have, whether it would be like an exhibition with the Wild or the Timberwolves, or maybe even trying to attract a big college game. I don't know everything that goes into that. I think that facility needs to kind of show itself off a little more, and there probably needs to be some work done there. I think, even just maybe some exterior work. I know they've done works with the scoreboard as well, so they've got a very good interior. But, I think, and this doesn't even begin we talked about the NCAA end of it. Remember, they hosted the U.S. Olympic curling trials this past year as well. So they're hosting some, I think to that point, if they need to kind of host more stuff at the Premier Center, they maybe started to do that. But as I mentioned in that story, it's been over 7 months. They hosted 7 major events. That also includes the annual NSIC and Summit League tournaments. So this was the busiest year they've had dating back to when those facilities opened. And I think that says a lot about where they are right now. And again, they'll have a bid cycle coming up here pretty soon.
Zach Borg joining us tonight, sports broadcaster, play-by-play, Midwest Sports Plus. Good story out. Can Sioux Falls get a first opening round expanded NCAA basketball tournament site? I was looking at this. I think I got this from your story as well. Like, I don't know if the Dallases, the Phoenixes, the Kansas Cities, I don't know if they want a first round like this. I feel like they want the big stuff. I kind of took that away. Maybe that was the Des Moines general manager, but does that put Sioux Falls in a spot where Las Vegas maybe doesn't want this?
Well, I think part of it, yes and no. The central region, central Midwest time zone is probably the most competitive, which makes it a little harder for the Midwest. Yeah, I think Kansas City and Minneapolis. I think Minneapolis is actually hosting a regional next year. I think they really do want the bigger ones, but out west, you don't have as many cities and as much competition. Spokane, their arena basically kind of is an older Premier Center. When I went out there for an NCAA tournament in 2016, I did a feature then about how, we could probably do it because our arena is probably a little better than this one. But there are fewer cities out there. The major cities out there like Los Angeles, Las Vegas, they want the regionals and the Final Fours. And there are fewer of those smaller communities, relatively speaking, that want the first and second rounds. But when you get to the central time zone Midwest, you certainly have the Kansas Cities and those bigger ones, but you have a lot. You have Wichita, you have Des Moines, you have Omaha. You go up and down from Texas to Minneapolis, and Sioux Falls is certainly in that mix. There are a lot more of those kind of median-level cities that really do want this thing. So Sioux Falls is in a little bit tougher position. I think for Sioux Falls, it's always really come down to the full-service hotels. That's been the issue. And for those who don't know, again, you have to have 4,000 square feet of meeting space in these hotels, and you have to have a full kitchen. I know Thomas Lee, the Sports Authority president here in Sioux Falls, said that they could probably fudge some things, in terms of like getting a restaurant to be a full-time caterer. I think some of that happened even in Des Moines. I think there's some suburbs around here like Harrisburg, T, and Brandon that are building some stuff that could eventually go there, and we heard that happened in Des Moines in 2016. They had to have teams stay out in the suburbs, but it was within 10, 15 minutes, so it worked out. I mean, the issue isn't so much that Sioux Falls doesn't have good hotels. The problem is we've got a lot of express hotels, and those are like, you see them a lot around the interstate near the airport, and those are like just kind of the quick stay ones. You need more of the full service ones. A really nice new one did come online that they referenced, and we showed a little bit, the Canopy, which is in the new Steel District. That's a new one, but as Thomas said, in his 7 years out here or whatever he said, that's the only new full-service one they've opened. So that's been really the toughest thing, is kind of getting some of those newer hotels online. And, we'll see what happens. Obviously, that Smithfield plant's going to get repurposed at some point. That, you would think, could probably turn into that. Who knows what that Sanford district is, if they're going to... It's still an empty plot of land. That could turn into something. I don't know, but I think my main takeaway continues to be they need to probably bring at least one, maybe two more full-service hotels online.
Okay, so if they somehow got an event like this, let's say it's opening round, let's say Sioux Falls gets it later this summer, big announcement. Let's say they get it. Do you think this is really supported well? Summit League has had a great history. I think an NCAA tournament opening round, even if it's 15 seeds, and then maybe an SEC Big Ten thing with 11s or 12s, I think it's big in Sioux Falls. Do you?
100%. I mean, we've had pretty good history, and this has been the key, too. They've been, both Sioux Falls and the people in Des Moines mentioned it, you really have to kind of build yourself by hosting a number of events. They've done well hosting Division II championships. We hosted a women's regional a while back that did pretty well. Unfortunately, the rules for hosting that kind of changed because they bumped it up from 4 teams at a regional to the 8, so it's very similar now to what a first round is. But this region's done really well hosting these events. We know how crazy they are for basketball in general. I mean, the state tournaments do well. I think even if it was the first 4, and who knows, maybe if it's South Dakota or South Dakota State who gets in, you could see the Jacks or the Coyotes getting filtered into that. I don't know how that would work, but I think that, and you would absolutely see some pretty high major teams because you get some of those 11 seed matchups, whatever. And certainly if it were ever the first or second rounds of the tournament, it would do well here. I think that the other thing that I think they should definitely take a play from what Des Moines did in terms of holding a fan fest, because I think those tickets would go so quick that you'd have a lot of people who would be out of luck. So, open the convention center up, put a bunch of big screens, or, I know Thomas kind of mentioned, hey, we've got Jacobson Plaza. I know they did a fan fest there this year for the Summit League. That could be used, and who knows, again, what that Smithfield area is going to look like. So even though the event center here is not downtown, there's a lot of ways they could really build around this March Madness for people who don't get a ticket and turn it into an event, because it's not just the games. You really have to. That was my kind of thing I really learned from what Des Moines had done, is they really turned it into an event beyond just what was happening in that arena. And I think that's where they've succeeded outside, and why they've continued to get it. Obviously, they've gotten it 2 more times since 2016, and they're getting it again in 2028. I think if Sioux Falls lands either the first 4 or opening rounds of the tournament, it can't just be, oh, well, come to the game, come to the arena. They're going to have to put on quite a show in terms of, a fan fest or something to really, and they've done that for a lot of events as well. So I think they would knock it out of the park, and I have no question that this region, and not just South Dakota, I think you'd see a lot of you'd see some North Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska. People from all over would come for this. Not to mention you've got people from the teams as well that are coming in too. So this region would knock it out of the park. I have no doubt about that.
I believe that as well. I really do. I think if Sioux Falls got an opening round, let's say they're trying for it, of the expanded NCAA basketball tournament, I think it'd be huge. I think it would be. We'll see if it's a long shot. They're going to announce it, it sounds like, later this summer. Story out on it for more details is well done by Zach Borg, Midwest Sports Plus, talking to the playmakers involved. Zach, good to have you, man. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, and thanks for the love on the story. And, like I said, I've said this for a while. I think eventually this is going to happen. I don't know when. May take another decade, may take 2, but this community is really growing, and like they said, it was kind of repeated over and over. Persistence is the key. So just keep believing, keep persistent, and keep hosting events. And I think one day we're going to hear that theme song in Sioux Falls.
I believe the entire state of South Dakota would embrace that. I really do. Zach Morgan tonight, Midwest Sports Plus. The story out today: Sioux Falls Sports Authority trying to make a play to get an opening round, this play-in, the new expanded NCAA tournament going to 76 teams. Could Sioux Falls host the opening round with these extra games? We'll keep an eye on that. Good stuff from Zach Borg tonight. Coming right back, Keith Smith covering the NBA Finals. We got to break it down. Spurs are down 1-0. A stunner. Keith Smith, his take on the rest of the series. Everybody thinks the Spurs are dead. Keith Smith, NBA analyst, coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
All kinds of vehicles, all kinds of loans, all as low as 4.99% APR. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we're here to help all kinds of people, just like you. Get moving. From truck drivers to van warriors, we got the right loan to fit your style with rates as low as 4.99% APR. Wherever the road takes you, start with BHFCU. Apply today at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818.
Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member owned and insured by NCUA.
Could there be a better name? Auto Value Parts Stores. They aren't just about air fresheners or fuzzy dice. Auto Value Parts Stores are all about parts, auto parts, and advice. Pros who know auto parts with tons of tips when you need them the most. You want real value? Don't go to a place with a cute name. Go to Auto Value. Could there be a better name? I didn't think so. Your Auto Value Parts Store. We've got the parts, we've got the smarts.
No one comes close to the selection of whiskey and bourbon than your Mr. Liquor stores in Rapid City. And this month you can save $6 off a $7.50 bottle of Pendleton, now $18.99. Or choose the big 175-liter bottle of Pendleton for only $45.99. Plus save $8 off a handle of Crown Royal for just $46.99. Price is good at both Mr. Liquor stores in Rapid City. Off Catron next to Walmart, or the original Mr. Liquor on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
If you haven't been to Trav's Outfitter yet, what are you waiting for? Trav's has the largest selection of footwear anywhere. Work, Western, and casual footwear, and we dare you to compare our selection to anyone. But here's the real difference. You don't have to sell yourself a pair of shoes. Our team helps you find the right fit for your feet. Find us in the old Kmart building, Trav's Outfitter. Best selection, best service, no BS.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. With today's home values, right now could be a great time to sell your home. The Black Hills House. I have been selling real estate and attracting buyers in Rapid City for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. You're thinking of selling your current home? Let me put my expertise to work for you. Just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker. List it, sell it, and move on. With me, David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate you. Busy week this week. Good stuff. Summer just getting started, but South Dakota Sports Talk, thought-provoking, 2 hours on Fox Sports Radio, the Nate Brown Show live across the state, KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. Hey, let's go NBA Finals. Got to get his read after Game 1 last night. I was surprised. I went Spurs in 6, so maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see where this goes. Knicks surprised the Spurs on the road. Now everybody's saying, no, this is the Knicks. This is their matchup. They had a great matchup. Spurs can't guard the pick and roll. It's over. Let's get some reaction. Keith Smith, NBA analyst. His show is Front Office Show. Independent, great YouTube show, and he's a contributor for Spot Track. Game 1 goes to the Knicks. Keith, were you surprised about last night?
Not really. I've been trying to tell people since we knew the Knicks were in the finals, didn't matter if it was the Spurs or the Thunder, they had a chance. I think too many people went to, well, the West is the real finals, and these teams are going to blitz New York off the floor, as if we didn't just a year ago have all the same conversations about the Thunder blowing out the Pacers, and if Tyrese Haliburton doesn't get hurt, the Thunder may not even have a championship. So I tried to tell people this Knicks team is good, they're tough, they've been destroying teams left and right, they have good, maybe the best closer in the game, and Jalen Brunson, and they're just a really good, solid team. And I picked them to win in 7 games. I think we're dealing kind of with a little bit of team of destiny stuff here with this Knicks group.
Okay, so you went Knicks 7, so you're off to a good start last night. So let's break this down a little bit. Spurs get up by 14. That's not a ton in the NBA, but it's sometimes substantial in a playoff game. Knicks didn't even play that well, especially in the first half. Do you think the Knicks have a favorable matchup when you can just kind of hang around after not playing well? I'm not saying the Spurs played great, but the Knicks come back from 14.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what they do. We saw that in Game 1 against the Cavs. They got down big and then made that monster rally, and that series then was never close. After that, I think they're really in a good position to be able to just kind of start to, as long as it's close, just be in striking distance and then give it to Jalen Brunson and let him kind of bring you home from there. And he's, like I said, he's arguably the best closer that we have in the game right now. He's so good, at getting to his spots and getting his shot off. And if teams really load up to take it away, he's a very willing passer to set other guys up. It's really interesting to watch how this team has kind of come together and built and smart built roster. Guys who clearly love playing together and guys who embrace, representing New York, which is, as we all know, that's not an easy place to play. There's a lot of pressure on you when you're there, especially when your owner went publicly and said, hey, we should win the title. There's no excuses if we don't. Like, here we are.
Okay, so Wemby said he wasn't good. He said that after the game. I wasn't good. And I didn't think he was terrible. What'd you think of Wemby's game? He had worse games against the Thunder. It was a really bad one, Game 6. But I got to say, what did you think of Wemby last night?
I thought he was really good defensively, but offensively, it was not one of his better games. There was a lot of time that you just didn't feel him out there. Where what I mean by that is with Victor Wembanyama, when he's going, you just kind of know, right? Because he's playing, not that he wasn't playing hard last night, but he's just playing with a different level of force and purpose. And he's intentful about getting to where he wants to be. Like he's very just, I'm going to get to, on the right spots on the floor. And I think, some of that is his teammates. I don't think the guard group, Dylan Harper, I know a lot of people were fired up about, why didn't he play more? And he was, this and that. And I think Dylan Harper had a nice game, but at moments on defense, he was awful. And Stephon Castle, the up and down offensive game, he wasn't felt defensively. And then De'Aaron Fox was, just a brutal game. Never mind Devin Vassell. I don't think Wemby had enough help, and I don't think his guards did a good job putting him in the right spot. So, but here's what we do know. When he's had a bad game or when he and the Spurs are had a bad game, they usually bounce right back with a pretty big one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he has going tomorrow night in Game 2.
Okay, so I was one of those guys who said, I'm watching that game. Dylan Harper, I'm not saying he was awesome, but he had 16 points, 6 of 10. And I just thought, you got to go Harper instead of Fox in the last 4 minutes. Did Mitch Johnson mess that up?
The only reason why I'm going to say no is because De'Aaron Fox has been the guy who settled them down all year long. When you saw them have some stumbles earlier in these playoffs, especially early in the Thunder series when Fox couldn't go, it was like they get a little wild, and that's where when Wemby or Castle or even sometimes Harper, they're trying to do too much and turnovers are happening. That said, yeah, it wasn't a great game for De'Aaron Fox, but I thought he was still doing a much better job defensively than Dylan Harper was. I thought there was a lot with Harper, unfortunately, where he gave, but he gave back just as much. And that's, we got to remember, this guy's a rookie guard. In his first year, he should be a sophomore in college. And, he's out here playing on the biggest stage. So there's going to be some give and take with that. But I just think all around for a lot of the Spurs, it just wasn't their night. And they really, when it got into the fourth quarter time and the Knicks locked in, the Spurs just didn't have enough to go to get themselves going.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a good game for the Spurs. I think they can bounce back tomorrow. Keith Smith on tonight, front office show, NBA analyst. Find him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Follow him if you're not. So I want to get your take on the guarding Brunson and the pick and roll there. Karl Anthony Towns, maybe that's who it is. It's the pick and roll. Spurs just switch all of the stuff. They switch screens away from the ball. So they got Castle off Brunson a lot. Can the Spurs just continue to switch? How do you guard it?
Yeah, it's tough because what's happening in that case is the Knicks want to run that pick and roll with either OG Anunoby or Karl Anthony Towns as a screener for Brunson. It normally be like, okay, well, great, switch, and we're going to have Wemby guarding you, and good luck getting your shot off. But the problem is the Spurs kind of played into it a little bit by leaving Wembanyama on Josh Hart. And Josh Hart is smart enough to know, hey, I'm going to hang out as deep in the corner as I can or as far above the arc as I can, and pull him as far away from the play as possible. And Wemby can make up a ton of ground, better than any player I've ever seen, as far as covering as almost a one-man zone. But the Knicks do such a good job, and Brunson is so strong. Where what he's able to do when he was getting, whether it was Champagnie or Vassell or even Harper, a couple times it was Keldon Johnson or Harrison Barnes, he's able to just get his shoulder into those guys, bump them off, and get to a shot. And then again, he's such a willing passer that he's willing to pitch it out to Towns or get it over to Anunoby and just kind of keep the ball moving to whoever is the best shot. I think this Knicks team really, Brunson's their engine. He makes everything go. But as they've used Towns more and more as a facilitator, their whole goal of their offense is, hey, whoever has the best shot, that's the shot we want.
Knicks, Brunson goes for 30 eventually. Slow start for him, then he goes for 30. Knicks up 1-0. Surprised me last night. Spurs, not a great game. Game 2 tomorrow. Keith Smith on tonight. Last one, the fan runs onto the floor. Wemby said he didn't know what to do. The NBA bans him from all arenas for life. Did they get that right?
Well, did you see the Buffalo Wild Wings thing? Where now they're like, hey, if you're banned, tell us who you are. You can come watch the game with us, which is nonsense.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was going around the internet this evening. We don't want to have this. This is because, this was cute, right? This young kid runs out there to get a selfie, and everybody's like, oh, that's kind of funny. What happens when it's not that, right? And I'm old enough to remember when a fan came running out of stands and stabbed Monica Seles, I believe, was who it was. A couple fans jumped out and beat up. I wish I could remember who was a baseball player on the field pretty badly. This cannot be a thing. People do this stuff, and these fans that yelled insults at Jalen Brunson, hey, you can heckle guys. That's fine. Boo them, heckle them. But if you're crossing the line, and if part of that crossing the line is considering getting out onto the court, get all the way out of here. Forget it. We don't need this, messing up our games, and God forbid somebody gets hurt because someone does it with more nefarious reasons.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. I knew something like that was going to happen with whoever ran out on the court. I knew it. Didn't see it. Keith Smith on tonight talking NBA Finals. We'll get him again. Game 2 tomorrow. A must-win for the Spurs, it feels like, and they got to go to Madison Square Garden. Keith, good to have you. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate the time. Keith Smith from Spot Track, contributor for them, and Front Office Show. Look him up. Watch him on YouTube. Find him at Keith Smith NBA on X. Who's hot and who's not? I've got it. One more rendition of Old Man Yelling at the Clouds. I'm going to tell you what's happened with the Duke-Michigan Amazon basketball game. Amazon's going to take that one. Boy, they messed it up next.
This is South Dakota's sports talk show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors. From everyday banking to home mortgages, insurance, and trust services, we're here for every step of your financial journey. We believe in doing what's right for you because we live here, work here, and care about our communities just like you do. Go with confidence, go with trust, go with Dakota Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and investment products are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and have no bank guarantee.
In Deadwood, South Dakota, Cadillac Jack's practically invented gaming, delivering everything you want in a 24/7 gaming experience and nothing you don't. 3 bold lodging options, 5 crave-worthy dining spots, a sports book built for the big game, and a casino floor that never sleeps. Score events, hot casino promotions, our infinity pool, and a merch store that lets you rep the win. Always bet on red. Book now at CadillacJacksGaming.com on Main Street, Deadwood.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect. Chance of severe thunderstorms tonight, otherwise mainly cloudy skies. Lows around 55. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly sunny skies tomorrow, high of 83. Lows level off around 59. Tomorrow night, clear skies. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 71 degrees.
Hanging with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales. I see new models of stand-up and teardrop campers on your lot.
Yes, you do. We're proud to feature the new SGC Armor line of campers from Bontrager Outdoors. Bang for the buck, there's just nothing out there like these new super cool Armor campers and Bontrager teardrops.
And the suspension these campers have? Wow, so impressive.
All our campers come standard with the off-road package. Bontrager and Armor just ramped boondocking up another notch. And right now, you'll get the best price all year on these 2026 ultra-light, ultra-beefy, option-loaded campers and teardrops.
You gotta check out these new look campers, people. The new designs are fantastic, and so many options for their size.
And so many options for towing. No need for a diesel or a big truck. These only weigh around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, so they can be towed by almost any rig.
Check out these new 2026 Bontrager and SGC Armor campers, everyone. See AnytimeAnytime.com, and as always, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
All right, welcome back. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight and every night at this time. Who's hot and who's not. Wrapping up the show with stories you need to know. Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, and in Brandon, home of everyone's favorite buffet. In our Who's Hot category, oh boy, NDSU Bison wide receiver Christian Watson, now with the Packers, going to get a big contract. 4-year, $110 million extension with the Packers. $31 million signing bonus, 27 years old. The new money puts him right around George Pickens' salary this year with the Cowboys. Christian Watson, big money, getting paid. Former NDSU Bison, now number one guy for the Packers. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not category tonight, you know, Duke and Michigan, they're going to play a big basketball game. And remember, Duke, they signed this Amazon streaming deal. They got put their big games on Amazon. Turns out the Fox deal has them playing in Madison Square Garden. That's a Big Ten Fox network deal. So Duke and Michigan are in the process of moving the game from Madison Square Garden to the Miami Marlins baseball park in Florida to circumvent so they can put it on Amazon. We're going to play basketball in a baseball park just so we can stream it to get all the money. What a deal. What a world. Madison Square Garden basketball, the Mecca. All right, let's play at a baseball stadium. What a joke. Thanks for listening to the Nate Brown Show. Old Man Yelling at the Clouds rendition number 92. Back next week. Enjoy your weekend. Podcast going up now.
The following radio ad is good fun squad approved.
My name is Jenny.